Good morning, sweet friends. Okay, I have been feeling some heaviness. Anybody else feel like, where are we? And I felt that way before, and I feel that way again, and I feel that way almost like, it feels like a whole new wave of, oh my gosh, where are we? What's happening? As we look at the pace at which things are changing. And if you guys don't know, if you're not engaging with the news, and I'm not either, there is a girl named Allie Beth Stuckey who puts out a lot of great stuff. Unfortunately, she's on maternity leave right now, but she is worth checking out because she talks about, and she's still providing content, but it's not current day. She provides perspective. Good morning. I see you're here. I don't see who you are. I'm sorry. Perspective on cultural issues, political issues, and things like that. And just to let you know a couple of things. You know what? Nope. We're not doing that this morning. We're going to the Word because I need the Word. I don't know about you guys, but I need the Word. And I've been thinking a lot. Hey, Meredith, it's good to see you, sweet friend. I've been thinking a lot about our children and this feeling inside me of like, are they going to be okay? You know, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I grew up in the 80s, right? I mean, I'm sure y'all aren't too far off of me on that. That was a pretty, like, it seemed like a pretty stable time by comparison. You know, there was the Gulf War in the 90s. That was the first thing I remembered. But there wasn't a lot of disruption that entered my little sphere from the outside world until 9/11, when I was in my first year of college. And my goodness, our children have seen a lot in their little lives. But y'all, we've been here before. Maybe not our own sweet souls, but we've been here before. And God has been faithful. And so we're going to hang out in Lamentations today with a little sprinkling of Romans 8, because don't we all need a little Romans in our life, okay? And so I'm going to read this to you. I'm going to do it in two versions, because one is that kind of like older, more traditional sound, and it's what I grew up with. So let me just paint the picture for you. And I think, I'm not a theologian, so I think I'm on point with where we are. So this is the Lamentations of the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah was in the mix during the fall of Judah, where they got taken to Babylon. And then he actually got peeled off to this group. He was supposed to stay, or rather, he called them to stay in Judah, that this remnant would be blessed if they stayed in Judah, but they pieced out and they went to Egypt. Okay, so he was part of all of that stuff that was going on. And during the fall of Judah, y'all, literally, mothers ate their children. Okay, their famine was so severe that kind mothers, it says, boiled their children alive, okay, to eat them. Okay, so talk about horrors, absolute devastation, absolute trauma, okay? This whole people group lived through all of that and perpetuated it at their own hand by their disobedience too, okay? So we've been here before, okay? And listen to what the people of God said, okay, through the mouth of Jeremiah. Remember my affliction and my wandering, the wormwood and bitterness. Surely my soul remembers and is bowed down within me. And this is after like 3 chapters or 2.5 chapters of just grief and trauma, okay? This I recall to mind, and therefore I have hope. The Lord's loving kindnesses indeed never cease, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I have hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the person who seeks him. It is good that he waits silently for the salvation of the Lord. Okay. Thought I might give this to you guys in the New Living Translation that my best friend read to me one day, and it was just so precious. And I've got to look at it on my computer because I don't have that kind of Bible. Okay. The thought of my suffering and homelessness is bitter beyond words. I will never forget this awful time as I grieve over my loss. Anybody else feel that way right now? I will never forget this awful time. Yet I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh every morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. Imagine believing and trusting that the Lord is our inheritance. Therefore, I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who depend on him, to those who search for him. So it is good to wait quietly for salvation from the Lord. And it is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. Okay. How good is that, y'all? How good is that? May we know the goodness of God, even in the midst of this awful time. Okay? May we know the truth, and we got to go here, y'all. We've got to live here right now. Of Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, I think I've told you guys this before, but that word foreknew, that's a knowing, like an intimacy, okay? So we can say those whom he foreloved, those whom he loved from before. He also predestined to become conformed to the image of his Son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brethren. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. So basically, if he foreloved you, he will glorify you, right? Because we can trace it. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who is against us? And y'all, I'm legit having these conversations with my children. Not necessarily about the political landscape, because I feel like it's not theirs to carry that burden. But one of my kids was feeling really afraid last night. I gotta tell you guys this story. You know when you're like trying to get them settled for bed and one says something and sparks the other and it's like all undone again? So one of mine goes, because we kind of talk about all the things and we're very frank with our children, you know, within limits and all that kind of stuff. So one of mine goes, hey, if there's a fire in our house and you and Daddy die, who's going to take care of us? And the other one starts wailing. I don't want to think about them dying. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. And so we talked about the plan. Here's the plan. If something happens to us, you're going to be taken care of. We've made a plan. Okay. Just a PSA as a former lawyer here. If you haven't made a plan, oh, please make a plan. Please make one. Please get a will. It's not super expensive. Just for peace of mind, make a plan, okay? So we told him the plan, and then I went to my child who was upset, and I said, listen, I can't promise you what's going to happen. I really can't. I would love that I could tell you everything's going to be fine, but here's the deal. Everything's going to be fine, okay? And I want you to hear me say it now, in case I'm not around to say it later. Whatever comes to pass, your God is faithful. Okay, whatever comes to pass, there will be a grace to see you through, to catch you. Okay, we feel like we're walking and we're about to fall off a cliff, but what we can't see is that just like in the cartoons, right? As we walk off that cliff, his grace catches us there. But we don't need that grace to walk through that trial right now, right? So we don't have it. It's manna. It's for the day. You know, you look at somebody's life and you're like, I could never make it through that. What we don't see is that grace fortifying them that they didn't need for the journey like an hour ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. They didn't need it. You don't need it now. I promise you, I mean, it's going to be there, okay? If all the things that we fear will happen come to pass, his grace will be there for his people, okay? If all the awful that like feels like is circling around us and starting to close in happens, his grace will be there. If things we can't even fathom in our micro family unit or in the outside world come to pass, his grace will be there, okay? We're talking about Paul's in prison, his friends are getting killed, okay? The Jeremiah, like people are eating their babies and being like carried off with hooks and noses, and like kings are getting killed. I mean, these are, talk about awful times. They lived through awful times, and the grace of God carried them through, okay? So too with us. I'm gonna tell you guys, like, I've been scrolling the Instagram, okay? I'm looking at all the things, and it's taking me captive. And I was thinking, well, these guys are sharing perspectives that align with what I believe, and they're sharing biblical perspectives and da-da-da-da. It was still taxing me because I wasn't here first. Well, I mean, I was in the morning, but by the afternoon, man, y'all, it had taken over my mind. Okay? So I offer this to you, that we stand on the truth of his word. I'm going to be setting some boundaries around my little scrolling habit. And so if that resonates for you, I invite you to do the same. I felt like the Lord was directing me. I fast once a week, so only social media during work time that day. And if you ever want to try fasting with me, I'd love to do that with you. And then no, after bedtime, it's done. And during homeschool time, it's done. You'd think that'd be pretty self-explanatory and obvious, but we're not hanging there these days. So that was just kind of a cornucopia of thoughts. But the root of it is his grace is going to catch us. Okay? Let us not look too far ahead where we can't see the grace that's waiting for us on the edge of that cliff, right? But it's right there, you guys. It's just right there. We're just going to walk off the cliff and there it is. Okay? And what a powerful testimony of the goodness of God. Okay? So trust it, you guys. Live in that peace. Live in that knowledge that you are foreloved by God. And because of that, you will be glorified. Okay? So tell me how you're feeling. How are my friends doing? Let me know prayer requests. Let me know how this hits you. Let me know what else you see that I didn't share. I want to hear it. This gets to be a dialogue. And I will talk to you soon. Meredith, I'm so glad you got to hang out this morning. Bye, guys.